It's finally here. November 18th, 2022. Nintendo just launched their newest Pokémon titles, Scarlet and Violet. Hi, I'm Jake from Good Game Gaming, and before I get into the game review, I think it's important for us to take a few seconds to just remember something here. Pokémon, as an intellectual property, an IP, is worth more than $90 billion. It is number one by more than 3 times over. Number 2 is Super Mario at 30 billion. Number 3, Call of Duty at 17.3 billion, if I remember correctly. Pokémon is the number 1 gaming franchise on planet Earth. Just keep that in mind. These new games have a ton of new Pokémon, remodeled Pokémon, re-envisioned Pokémon with different types, different backstories, even different names. They're just regional variants. You have this brand new, beautiful open world that is just absolutely gigantic, where you can swim through the ocean, fly through the air, jump up onto cliffs, do whatever, pretty much. There's also a new battle mechanic called terastallization, where you can change the type of a Pokemon. If it's a dual type, it goes down to a single type, and you can find these rare Pokemon with like odd typings to like compensate for their weaknesses. It's pretty cool. The music is brand new, fully orchestrated, and it has like hints of Pokemon themes throughout it, and it has more of this Spanish flair because the Paldea region, the new one, is based on España. Señor, este es un lugar fantástico. In addition to these things, the new storylines to Pokemon are pretty endearing. They're freeing. You get to go and tackle anything you want in pretty much any order you want, and you have the option to go to a place that will rightfully, and I mean rightfully, hand your cheeks to you. However, it is an engine that hardly runs on the Nintendo Switch. Extreme graphical errors that totally take you out of the gameplay. It has a very low frame rate. God forbid you move the camera and it goes around a tree, because your game will stop, pretty much. And it has the inability to turn off battle animations, so you have to watch Flamethrower 147 times just to level up. That's not good. Those are not good. I need to change my name here. Why did I pick this game?
God! No! God, please, no! No! No!
First, we're gonna start with the good of these games. This is a beautiful game. It's very pretty, it's very well designed, it's very open, lots of trees, tons and tons and tons of wild Pokemon and trainers everywhere. The names, typings, abilities, and moves of all the different Pokemon are very unique. It's a conglomeration of everything they've tried to balance since the last couple of games. The story takes a good 20 to 30 hours to complete, depending on how you rush it, and if you're just, focusing on one Pokemon, one gym type. There's a lot of factors in this game, because it gives you like an open 3-arc storyline. Then you get to pick where you want to go and what you want to do, who you want to battle, and in what order you want to do it. The freedom in this game is very, very liberating. Battling is just as good as ever, and they've introduced a new gimmick called terastallization, where you can temporarily change the typing of your Pokemon. Whatever it may be, you can turn it into a single type, and you get 3 same type attack boost bonuses on your moves. 4 if you're Delmise. The online events and different in-game opportunities started immediately. When the game launched, they introduced these Terra raid dens where you can get rare Pokemon with rare Terra types. You can go online immediately and start to battle in ranked battles and trade and just be in other people's games. It was very ambitious, and a lot of it worked super, super well. The music in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is very, very nice. It's a big, lush orchestral score behind this Spanish-themed Pokemon variant type of style of music that pops out pretty well. They added a lot of nylon string guitars, a lot of mandolin, marimbas. The orchestral backing to this game adds a nice flavor when you're out and about, and the dramatic changes in the music reflect exactly where you are, exactly what you're doing, exactly where you're going, exactly who you're battling. It's very, very, very nice. Now for the bad parts of this game. The animations for battling cannot be turned off. You have to sit through every single one. Every time you use Hydro Pump, Stealth Rock, Dragon Claw, you have to watch that animation, so it makes grinding levels and battling trainers and just going through the world 1,000 times longer. In addition to that, you can only set the battling to switch mode. I don't know, for any of you new Pokemon players, if you knew this, but in previous generations you could have switch mode and set mode. Switch mode will give you the option to change out your Pokemon anytime another trainer or gym leader wants to send out a new Pokemon after you fainted or whatever. In set mode, it was more like competitive. You didn't get any freebies. You had to see what they launched in, and it saved a little bit of time, but it also added a layer of difficulty where you weren't allowed to just get a freebie and swap your Pokemon out in response to another trainer swapping theirs out. They also did not keep the catching mechanic from Pokemon Legends Arceus, where you could just hide around in the grass and the bushes and sneak around and throw a Pokeball and catch a Pokemon off guard and just capture it. You could just capture Pokemon by throwing a Pokeball at it. That is not a thing anymore. That was a huge step back, because one of the best parts about Pokemon Legends Arceus is you could just go catch Pokemon. You could actually do that whole bullcrap title they have underneath every game that says gotta catch them all. Now you have to battle them. Now you have to weaken them. You have to give them a status condition. You have to throw 14 Ultra Balls at them to even have a chance at capturing this Pokemon. And on top of that, they kind of got rid of breeding. They changed it, so you do it at picnics now, and now picnics are super traumatic.
Pikachu! 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 Pikachu!
On to the uglier parts of the game. This game barely runs on the Nintendo Switch. There are constant frame rate drops everywhere. For everything you do, any action you take, any menu you open, any person you talk to, any Pokeball you throw, the game will slow down. Models, even in cutscenes, will just pop into and out of existence. And in video games, you have a thing called a draw distance, which if an object is very far away, it'll be a low resolution version of that model, and as you get closer, it'll start to turn high definition in a couple of steps. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet do not have a good draw distance. We're talking maybe 15 in-game steps, where if you approach a bush, the bush slowly morphs into a bush until you're right on top of it, or it's right in frame, right in front of you. This also happens in the cutscenes, where the backgrounds seem to load constantly while it's a cutscene. You'll see different camera angles of characters talking, and their mouths don't move, by the way, and there's no voice acting, by the way. But I can forgive those things. But what I can't forgive is when the camera swaps to a different character and then it looks like the game is loading everything behind them as the cutscene is rolling out. I mean, that's really bad. We solved that in the PlayStation 2 era, the GameCube era. I don't know what they were thinking when they quality tested this game, but none of that should be happening right now. Unacceptable. That is such a weird thing. The most valuable gaming franchise on planet Earth releasing a game that just crashes. It just does sometimes. $90 billion? Well, we couldn't hire enough programmers to make sure that our game works. Every single action in this game slows the entire game down. Whenever you open a menu, check your Pokedex, get into a battle, talk to someone, walk into a new area, the entire game slows down to a crawl. It might just be for a second or two, but to go from 30 frames per second to 4 frames per second, back to 30 frames per second, it just chops the game up in a weird way. It's a lot like in Red and Blue when you would go from, I don't know, Lavender Town to Route 18, and you would see all the colors of the bushes and stuff change, the music would change, and the pace would slow down for a split second to load everything, and then you could go. That was almost 30 years ago. 30 years ago, and they're still trying to like pass off this as an acceptable thing in a game at the end of 2022. I don't know why they did it, what oversight this was, who quality tested this and went, yeah, done. This is perfect. This is exactly the kind of game we're looking for. That's the game I want to play. It boggles my mind, honestly. It's not acceptable in any capacity. In conclusion, there is a good Pokemon game here. Sincerely. The battling is fun, the story is fun, the landscapes are fun to traverse. It's a good game. But unfortunately for Nintendo and for all the Poke fanatics out there, this game truly, and I mean truly, this is the first time I can remember that a Pokemon game that came out was worse than the generation prior. People made fun of Sword and Shield when it came out. Wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. People made fun of Pokemon Legends Arceus when it came out. Not that bad. Honestly, not that bad. I had a lot of fun with both of those games. And it seems like we as Pokemon players tend to get stuck in the habit of saying, oh, it's not as good as the last one, the X and Y, the black and white, the emerald and sapphire, red, OG, red, blue, yellow. They kept the same formula, but unfortunately that formula barely runs. It barely does what it needs to do on the newest Nintendo system. They should be ashamed, because these are not small problems. This is not a small problem. This is a slew of large, functional problems. As I film this last part of this video, I am a couple weeks out. Of all the things I just talked about that were the problem, they just released a patch. And do you know what that patch does more notably than anything else? It closes the Pokemon's eyes when they fall asleep. Out of all the outcry and outrage that all of your fan base had, I didn't even like truly recognize that as a problem. And then Pokemon was like, whoa, 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 whoa. All those things, Jake, that you just talked about for 12 and a half minutes or whatever. Yeah. We're just gonna make it so their eyes close and they're sleeping now. It's fucking dumb. Like that was, it's such a slap in the face. And you know what? I bought the game. I spent the $60. I bought the goddamn game. I need the goddamn game to work. And they're not doing that, which is such a bummer because I do like this game. It's not bad. I'm gonna give it like a 6 out of 10 right now because it's a good game that doesn't run. If you made it a good game that runs well, man, 9 out of 10. If you included catching Pokemon just out in the wild, where you can hide around and fly and climb, whatever else. If you included just catching Pokemon, just to catch them, just to throw a Pokeball, it would be close to the perfect Pokemon game. If you just did those two things, right? Fix the functionality of whatever code. We have ChatGPT now, so you can fix your code very quick, right? And then add in the feature that you just made this year and put that in the game, and I would say this is the best Pokemon game that's ever been released. I don't see that happening, and man, I wish it was, because if you change those few things, I would gladly remake this entire video. I'd make an entirely new video for you, Nintendo. All right, I'm ranting. I gotta do my sign off. If you enjoyed this video and you wanna tag along for some of the stuff I'm doing, I stream like 5 nights a week. We do Super Smash Bros, Animal Crossing, Jackbox games. I'm gonna put my link tree down below. You can find everything I do. I've had a blast making these skits, these videos, doing game reviews, streaming. I get to make cool stuff all the time, and I'd like to do it more. And if you want to come along, if you want to come and be a part of this, you know, follow me. Come hang out. And we'd love to have you. I'd love to have you. It could be a lot of fun. Thanks. I really do appreciate all this. I really do. I will see you next time, okay? Bye.